Hello, Bill here at Pale Horse Survival and Tactical. Today, I'm going to do another episode in the primitive fire making series, and I'm going to make a mini bow drill kit out of fruitless mulberry. Botanical name is Morus alba, and I've got a lot of wood that I've harvested over the past year and a half. From various trees, mostly from downed branches, deadfall, and just kind of going through and trying each one out and seeing how well it works for primitive fire making purposes. I've never used fruitless mulberry, so so far I've had a lot of success. Haven't had any failures in the fire making attempts, so hopefully this will work out okay. It seems to pass the thumbnail test. Take a good way to tell the hardness of a wood. Of course, I just did an oak video and got a coal from oak. So, but if you run your thumbnail across it, and you get a divot there. I think you guys can see that divot across there. It's usually a good indicator that it's going to work pretty good for primitive fire making purposes. So I harvested a little skinny branch here that I'm going to use for a little mini spindle. The spindle has a bow in it. I think you guys can see that there. There's a bow right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the long end here, and I'm going to sight down just to where this bow starts, right about here. There, you guys can see that. And we're going to get rid of the short end here. So we're going to have a spindle that's going to be about that long. So this is going to be our working spindle here. So we'll go ahead and cut that right now. Cut it off right about, looking at the bow here, cut it off right about here. Oh, there goes my knife going over it. That is perfectly straight. That looks good there. So that's our spindle. Got some jute twine back here, as in my other videos. Just a little bit. We'll separate in a little bit the fibers, and just a small tender bundle for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we have this piece here, a couple of knots in it, and the knots are kind of on either side here, so I think we're going to split it this way. That way we can get rid of the knots. So go ahead and split this guy into a, see if we can get a fireboard out of it. We don't have a lot of working room here. Feels a little damp on the inside. I harvested this I guess it was probably about 2 months ago. It's been in the bed of my truck in the sun, and it started to split, which usually is indicative that it's dried. Well, I guess we can give it a try. Well, this may be a failed attempt here if it's too moist. Moisture is not good when it comes to primitive fire making. If that's the case, and we when it opens up, it first feels very slightly damp, but then all of a sudden it dries. That's kind of odd. Well, I guess we can continue on and see what happens. We'll hope for the best. Anyways, I'll go ahead and clean this up. Clean this guy up here. Figure out what we're going to use for the top and the bottom. Yeah, it's been in the bed of my truck for a couple of months now in the heat. It's a nice straight piece. Sits nice and flat. Well, we'll know it's too wet if we get smoke and the char just refuses to ignite no matter what we do to it. I hope that's not going to be the case, but if it is, it is. I think we're looking pretty good here. I'm going to use this as a top. This just feels like a top. This little concave at the bottom here, so I figure I'll just use that as the base. It sits nice and flat. Okay, so we have a split in here. That's usually indicative that the wood is dried. Maybe it's just me, but it just feels a little damp. We'll find out. We'll give it a try anyways. So here is the this is the board, hearth board. I'll go ahead and clean off. We have a knot on this side, so we'll use this side as our notch side. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the bark off. Give us a nice. So that feels dry here. That ought to do it. Go ahead and prepare the spindle. And what we're going to do here, well, I guess I can do this up here in the front. I was going to get behind the camera. Go ahead and, I usually work behind the camera, but we'll do it this way this time. Go ahead and use this as our bearing block side. I usually switch over to my trusty folder that I've had for I don't know how many years when I do the fine work. It just allows me to choke up on the blade and gives me a lot more control over the knife. My old trusty beater knife here will do all this also, just a little bit bigger, that's all. I just like a smaller blade for the finer work. Just my personal preference. I hope some of you are getting out and trying some bushcrafting, learning some techniques. If anybody ever has any questions, I'm always available to answer questions and to offer advice. So definitely, by all means, don't hesitate to contact me. Either hit me up in the comment section, or you can email me through palehorsesurvival@yahoo.com. I always put the contact information at the end of every video in the credits. So what I'm doing here, I'm just removing some of the bark. Now normally I remove all of the bark on a spindle especially the bark that's rougher. That minimizes the abrasion on the bowstring. But this spindle is so skinny. This is a really skinny spindle. This will give us a little working area down here. The spindle is so skinny that I'm going to have to choke up on it on my bowstring. So the bark is actually pretty smooth. It's not abrasive. So I'm going to leave that on there to give it a little more friction for the string to grip the spindle, minimize any slippage, because the spindle's so skinny. I'm going to have to really choke up on the string to get this to work. I could untie my bowstring and tighten it up that way, but that would be too easy. It takes all the fun out of it. Just doing some push cuts here, rounding that edge off. Yeah, we're good to go here. I think we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and reposition the camera, and we'll go ahead and get our burn in done, get the notch cut, go ahead and process this tender down. This is just standard jute I use in all my videos, and as I've shown in all my videos, I just pull the fibers apart. The fine fibers, if you reduce them down into a finer material, it will ignite a lot more easily. I just grab them and pull them apart. I don't get too fancy with any of this. Very small little tender bundle here just for demonstration purposes. If I was actually trying to get a fire going, I'd use a lot more material, obviously. You'd be amazed. A small amount really puffs up a lot when you start breaking it down. And those few strands gave us actually pretty good sized little tender bundle there. A little windy out here, so I'm going to stab my knife into that so it stays put up there on the stump and doesn't blow away. Stay tuned. I will reposition the camera and return momentarily. Okay, welcome back. Get you guys in frame here. Over here on a flat part of the ground. I'll go ahead and cut a pilot hole in here. It's like about as good a spot as any. Pilot hole is Very important. That keeps the spindle from wandering around on the initial burn in, otherwise you'll never get the hole started. I just angle my knife down and just dish it out. It's kind of a shallow hole here. Just my personal method. Hasn't failed me yet. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Here's a pilot hole. And I think we're good. I think we're okay there. Now to see, burn this in, and then afterwards we'll see if it'll find a level spot here. See if it'll take if it'll ignite the char. It actually fits my string pretty well, and what I do here is, if I need extra tension, a little trick is just take when you're holding the bow, just choke up on your string, just press it in like this, and it'll tighten the string around your spindle. So if you're ever sawing away, you're working away on trying to get a fire going, and your string starts to slip on your spindle, just press in on that string, and that will take up the slack here. Excuse me while I get my bearing block. From around my neck. I did a video on this here. This bearing block that I made out of a piece of crepe myrtle, Lygerstroemia indica, and piece 550 on here. I love to build things. Alright, let's see what we can do here. This ground's a bit uneven here. Run smooth. See how quickly it starts smoking. We have smoke. That's always a good sign. I always put my spindles, the business end, I always put it up on something so it's not on the ground absorbing moisture, so I just have it up on my bow there. Yeah, pretty good smoke. That's the initial burn in, so we'll go ahead and get the notch cut. I'm just gonna bop you guys. I'm gonna put this right over here on the stump to make it easy. Use the stump as my cutting surface. Okay. Well, it's a fairly decent notch for a change. I get in here and I just clean it up a little bit. Try to eliminate any fuzz and fibers sticking out that might prevent the char from clumping together. That's pretty clean. And then we'll go ahead and fan this bottom out here. That wood carve's nice. There it is, fanned out at the bottom. That just helps draw a little more oxygen into the coal. Apologize for the airplanes here. Some forest fires. A number of forest fires, wildfires. Not too far from here. It's about 5 exactly, and that is the Department of Forestry. They're water bombers taking off to go fight the fire. So here we go. We're ready to go, actually. Let's see if you guys are back in frame here. I'm gonna bring you down just a hair here. Alright. Use a leaf. Use a leaf for a welcome mat. Nothing like using natural materials. Make sure you guys are in frame there. Alright. I think we're ready to about ready to give this a try. Choke up on the string here. Make sure you guys are in frame. Yeah. Take it slow at first. Keep an eye on the notch. Don't start cranking away until that notch is full. Otherwise, there's nothing there to ignite. Already smoking. See some char dropping down in the notch. Already full. Pick up the speed. See what that did. I don't know if the wood's too wet, the char will go out. And the char went out. Let's give it another shot. Char looks a little grainy too. Let's see if we can get this to Come on. Come on. And it went out. I'm thinking the wood may be too wet. Let's try it one more time. I thought it felt damp. I really thought this would have been dry by now. No coal. Almost didn't work. Let this build for a few. I'll let this coal build for just a bit. Yeah, this wood was a bit damp. I'm actually amazed that the coal ignited, to be perfectly honest. Seems to be a very sluggish coal. Very sluggish. It's not very aggressive. I'm just hoping it's not going to go out. It's very lazy coal. We have fire. Whoop, spin the screen around here, see what the heck I'm doing. Alright. I had to work for this one. We burnt, wow, if you look at this, burned almost all the way to the bottom of that hearth board. Almost to the bottom. I mean, if it didn't happen then, it wasn't going to make it. That was this one was a it was a struggle, but it worked. Even though the wood was damp, it still feels just got a slight dampness in there, especially when it was first split. I could really feel it on my thumb. I was like, oh boy, I knew it was going to be a struggle, but it worked. That's all that counts. Good learning experience here. I've used some woods that were even damper than this. Couldn't get the char to ignite no matter what I did. I'd work and work and work and work, pouring sweat, getting out of breath, and all it did was smoke, and the char just would not ignite. I took one kit, I think it was a myrtle kit, same thing, too wet, and worked on it. Couldn't get it to ignite, so I put it on the dash of my truck in the summertime for a week, let it bake in the heat up there. At the end of a week, I went and I tried it, bam, got a cold, no problem. First try, real easy. So primitive fire making it can be very problematic if there's moisture in the wood, or even if the humidity is really high. If you're trying to do it on a day with very high humidity, it could really cause problems. Anyways, guys, fruitless mulberry, Morris alba, and it works. So one more wood to add to the list. I still have, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 more woods, different types of woods, floating around in the bed of my truck that I've harvested, and so I'm just going through them one by one, having fun doing it. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it for you guys, and please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate your viewership and support, and as always, I'll see you very soon on the next video. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.